Right, let's get going.
Alrighty.
Okay, guys, back again. Today we are going to be bringing a new addition to our podcast, supplement reviews. So over times, with the breakdowns of everything else, we go over habits as one. We have a guest, and we're giving you completely all the elements of training and everything. This one, again, supplement reviews. So we're going to go over the time. The supplements we think are important. Like, obviously, once you put everything else into play that we've gone through, so sleep, nutrition, decent training program, whether you're hypertrophy, all that stuff comes first. And then you can get the nice aid of supplements, which I love. I've always loved supplements. It's like my treat to myself every month, you know. And so we're going to go with, I think, one of them. Well, it is the most case studied creatine monohydrate. And then for health, vitamin D. So we're going to go over those two today. So one for your training, one for general health. We'll start with a creatine monohydrate. Creatine is one of the most popular nutritional ergogenic aids for athletes. Basically, it makes you strong.
Yeah, it's a supplement you can put in your body and waste. And what we'll do is we'll go over these two things are so great because they're naturally forming as well.
Yeah, like, you know, creatine is naturally forming in the body. But like I say, we're going to go over all the pros, and it is all pros, basically. There is no cons with this supplement. You know, all the studies now, it's been... So if we think, I think it's been really studied from, say, the 1990s and so on. There's lots of case studies now. So if you want to research this yourself, you can find tons of stuff, loads of medical reports, loads of case studies of different groups of people, like, you know, groups of 5 people who are using it, groups of 5 people who haven't used it. There's loads on there. So we're not going to make it too complicated today. We're just going to teach you, well, not teach you, but tell you what creatine does, how it works with the body, and all the benefits from it. And there's only one, the only one side effect I could find that was saying it was putting on weight.
Yeah.
That was the only one. So if you don't want to put on weight, don't do it. But generally, it's a fantastic product to use. And we're there.
Yeah,
So,
I think there's some things that something to do with, I don't know, excess creatine just makes your liver work a little bit. But
well, yeah,
like,
it's like everything, isn't it? It's like everything out there. If you do too much of it, or you start abusing it and start going against the recommended dosages for your body, and again, that can all play to different athletes' size and weight. Of course, it can have an effect. Like, it can maybe work the kidneys and the liver overload.
A little bit more, but it's not going to be.
But if you're sensible, and I think we're going to go over the dosage on the sensible dosage. There used to be days where people would load up with the creatine, and I think you can still do that because it's a saturation supplement, meaning that you've got to get it in the system every day, and then once you've had it in the system every day for about 30 days, it hits its saturation levels where it really starts to take part and really start to work.
And that's where those studies have come in. As I said, it's so studied, it's come in to its own where, it started, it was like you got to cycle on, cycle off, do this amount of grams for this way, whereas it is the easiest supplement to take.
Yes, it's the easiest.
5 grams for whatever you look like.
Pretty much when we go over the dosage, but that is it. We'll get back to that. It is 5 grams a day. So the main benefits I've been reading, I even going over the research again, I even found some other details on it that I didn't know about. So mainly we're looking at the post-exercise recovery. That is probably one of the big outcomes coming from that. It's going to lead to greater training and adaptations. It's going to prevent injury. You can prevent injuries, but the biggest one I found out is neuroprotection on your spine, which is, I didn't go too deep into that because it's quite doctory, but it actually does help the spine and protect it.
The spinal cord, and then that can
the neuroprotection, the nerves.
Yeah, play into the sensory, the signalling. I know there's part about signaling when you talk about the spinal cord, and if your spinal cord's protected, it's in good health, your signals around the body are better, which then in turn can create more muscle growth through basically signaling to create more contractions to create like more adaptation through use of more muscle fibers. So
it's found naturally in your muscle cells.
Yeah, and ultimately if you've got all of those things together,
It's naturally in your muscle cells, and it will help you find more energy, especially during lifting. So we walk in, and then we understand what ATP is.
Yeah, so ATP. So you've got like 3 energy systems. Ultimately, ATP is your first energy system. It's like 0 to 10 seconds. Think about Usain Bolt on a track. They'll use ATP, and they'll only purely use ATP.
Yeah.
As their fuel source, and that's like your kind of almost like sugars that are quick hit. After 10 seconds, they're burnt off. No more. It's like that first initial part of a rocket.
Yeah.
And you see it go off. They get off, and then it changes, and then they break apart. That's basically ATP.
Yeah. And that's how creatine really works well. And it is a point where if you just take it on one day, you're not really going to see the benefits in one day. It is a point of getting it in, building those saturation levels up, and then your ATP is really going to take part and start to work. And you will notice that in sets, especially when we go back to like hypertrophy sets, you'll notice that you'll just won't feel as fatiguing, and that's where you start to reap the benefits of it, feeling like those extra reps are there, that extra bit of strength are there, that energy in your workout, but more natural energy, not like caffeine and stimulus energy. Just more natural energy will start to be in there.
So that's with it in being in the body, it's like it can be stored in the muscles, but that's why people say they feel like a little bit more swollen a little bit.
Yeah.
That whole saturation and getting it into the body for a long period of time, once the body's more comfortable with having extra amounts of creatine in the body, that's when you start to reap the rewards, as you said. If you're kind of like taking it on and off, your body's kind of like, oh, I've got extra creatine, I'm just going to give it to my liver, I'm going to put on kidneys and process it and get it out. Whereas you need a surplus of it, like in diet, you need a surplus of it for a sustained period of time for your body to be like, okay, we're going to use this.
Yeah.
We're going to use this fuel a lot better. It's energy. ATP is such a important energy system for everything. So if you can, the body's creatine stored in muscles in the form of phosphate, then you're going to have higher levels of ATP. You're going to be able to do things, especially at that front end, a lot more intensely.
Yeah.
Reap a lot more rewards from them. So
without us going too much into that, because that can be a show on its own about ATP.
And
basically, that's what it does. It helps your ATP. So it's a great supplement to work with. So we go over the points of what can it do. So straight away, we've already just touched that boosted workload. So you're going to find your volume will go up, and signal training sessions, which is a key factor for long-term muscle growth, which is basically what you're doing when you're strength training.
Adding slowly adding volume, or in the other sense, slowly adding like intensity as well.
Yeah, and then
workload on the muscle.
Workload on the muscle. So building that strength, building that muscle. Improve cell signaling, which is going to obviously ramp up your recovery.
Yeah, so that goes back to the spinal protection as well. It's all about signaling. If you can protect the spine, but then also improve cell signaling, you're going to aid repair, you're going to aid muscle growth, you're going to get more fibers engaged in a movement, and then ultimately you're going to create that connection between mind and muscle, where your muscle's fatigued, it needs basically like fuel source to recover. Your signaling is basically sending the right nutrients, the right aids to the muscles to recover.
Yeah. Then we've got raised anabolic hormones. So studies to rise of hormones such as IGF-1. I know if you don't know what IGF-1 is, we're not really going to go deep into that. Again, we could go on quite a bit on that, but it raises great hormone levels. Again, getting bigger, getting stronger, repairing muscle fibers, and so on. Like they all pretty much are the same thing, but there's quite a lot of things that happen out of it. Then we've got increased cell hydration. Lifts water content. That's why some people can feel like they get a bit watery.
And a little bit more swole
on the creatine. Again, everyone can have different effects to it. Some people it can be digestive issues, but then I always think there's a way of digesting it. How you take it, because if you look at creatine monohydrate, when you put it into the water, it normally sinks. It's a heavy compound, so it just sinks to the bottom of the water. the more you can sort of like get that diluted, then the more your body will absorb it. So I know one way I read a report, people saying that, look, if they put it in a bit, like not a boiling hot cup of coffee, but a warm coffee, that dilutes it even more. So it's a great pre-workout because you obviously getting your bit of coffee, your caffeine, but you've also diluted it a little bit better to soak up inside your gut.
Yeah, and we know like large portion of your water weight is held within the muscles.
Yeah.
So especially if you're going into kind of that aesthetics kind of physique, a little bit, it's like swollen, like when you get a pump after a session, you like a little bit more swollen. That's kind of what creatine I know can create for some people, just that fuller look.
Yeah.
Instead of like completely like lean. So yeah, it just helps muscle growth ultimately. These are like strength and muscle growth are the two main things that
cell volumization.
Yeah, well, exactly. Muscle growth. Look bigger.
Then you got reduced protein breakdown. Again, for that total muscle mass, reducing muscle breakdown. So again, aiding that recovery, stopping you going too deep into it. We've got low myostatin levels, elevated levels of protein. Myostatin can slowly or totally inhibit new muscle growth. Again, these are all just not without making it too complicated. They're just other ways of showing you how when we train at high intensity, if your nutrition and everything is in play and hydration and everything is working well, we've still got to try and aid on breaking down muscle that we're burning that muscle off. Almost like a catabolic state. We're really looking to improve when you're in your strength program or whatever you're doing. If you're CrossFit and you're doing high intensity, got to remember sometimes those metcons can tip you over the edge depending on the length of time. So it really is important that you're trying to sustain as much muscle as possible and aid in that recovery. So that when you have finished your workout, straight away your recovery kicks in and you're aiding repairing those muscle fibers are growing. So you can get, as we go back to when we went to our hypertrophy, strength is very, very important in all aspects of training. That little bit stronger will make you do most sports that bit better. So it's really important to understand that. And like I say, this is why this is our number one supplement kicking off, because it rounds off quite a lot of our other podcasts and aids them.
Oh, it helps in kind of all formats. I think there's also some kind of studies nowhere near the amount in terms of muscle growth and kind of repair and like strength gains, but also there's an extent of how it can help, like aerobically as well.
Yeah.
But that all goes down to just having a muscle that can contract better, is ultimately stronger, and then you can create more sustainable, higher level contractions. So, but yeah, predominantly it's all been looking at strength training, size, how it looks, how you do. So yeah, protein, myostatin, just higher levels slow down muscle growth.
That's it.
So if you can sustain lower levels of that, and that can be done through supplementing with creatine, you increase your potential for muscle growth. Then we could come down to the dosages. Like, I remember back in the day when I first took creatine, you would do like the loading days. Yeah, it's all changed, right?
It's all changed now. Basically, you can look on there. There's dosages for different. Well, like I say, different athletes. Bigger athletes will probably have to take a little bit more compared to smaller athletes. There used to be the loading days where you'd take it 2-3 times in the day and load it up over 5 to 7 days, and then you'd go into like a maintenance dose. Basically now I think the best way to do it is just take your 5 grams a day, take it around your training, before or after or during, you're getting it in, and then like I say, that those saturation levels build up, and after, I always say the 30-day period, then you will hopefully start to see the benefits and start to notice energy levels and strength coming in.
It's kind of that easy. It's like, I know most people like mix it if they have like a protein shake after training. It's like mix it with a protein shake. It's like you're getting creatine in, or even in the morning, like any time of day. But yeah, it's like 5 grams, no cycle on, no cycle off. Just take it indefinitely to support your training as much as possible.
And then where now supplements have evolved so well, and we've got some super brands out there, and I mean some super brands like who really take care now in putting out a quality product that will work. So I found, for me, taking my creatine through a drink is the most pleasurable way I like it. So, and again, I'm hitting a few birds with one stone here. So hydration. So one product I use is by a company called HR Labs, and it's called Basic. And Basic, it's a blend. So you've got your creatine monohydrate. Just trying to think off the top of some of the ingredients. You've got taurine in there. You've got pink Himalayan salt, again for aiding hydration. You've got Pico 2, which is a new compound I've found to help boost up endurance, and beta-alanine. So all these components really help well to boost more energy in more of a natural process. So not a stim, not a high. It's just not purely is muscle. It is purely muscle endurance into the muscle, make you strong. It's a really great drink. They do a couple flavors. I'll put the picture up here and the panel in the background. You can find out more details about it. But I've been using it for a couple of months now, and it's a fantastic product. I know there's another one as well by a company called Naughty Boy called Power. Very similar, but I think they use a different ingredient in their CQ10. So it's just a slightly different panel, but both do amazingly well. And you can use these drinks every day. So even on your non-training days, you use this drink because you want to keep building those levels. And they're fantastic. Great way of getting your creatine monohydrate in, but also a couple of other things in there that will aid in the same direction.
Yeah,
so
I think with that definitely is like anyone who's kind of trained a lot would like hear beta-alanine and be like, oh, it's a stimulant, but beta-alanine is it's another supplement to
and
go
if you know what
together,
beta-alanine is, you know it's that.
That's what you think it as.
But again, once and it is like that if you do it randomly. But if you start taking beta-alanine every day, that process fizzles out to a point where you hardly get the tingles because now you've built up those saturation levels with beta-alanine. And even if you watched on Joe Rogan's podcast with Matt Fraser, he just went on and said he used to, I don't know how many grams it was, like 2-3 grams a day. Yeah. Beta-alanine sales went through the roof over in America the next day because loads of CrossFitters was like, wow, that's what's made. And that's the difference. That's when everyone wants to look for the quick fix. And because they've said, oh, Matt Fraser's on beta-alanine, we must all jump on it and it's going to make you turn into Matt Fraser. No, not at all. Everything else he's doing is enroll. And then when you add a supplementation to that, then you're just going to aid recovery, you're going to aid muscle endurance, you're going to aid strength, and it's really going to work tenfold. I look at it, it's like a car. If you've got an engine and it's all tuned and fine, and then you put that turbo on it, it's going to go. But if you've got a shitty engine and you put that turbo on it, it's just going to blow up. So it's like,
So there's the
don't just look for the quick fix. Get everything into play first, and then supplements will aid. They will work, but they're not miracle workers on their own.
That's the proof's in the name. They supplement your
supplement.
lifestyle.
So if your lifestyle's shit and you're putting a supplement on it, more than likely you'll stay shit. As simple as that. Okay, but if you're tuning in your lifestyle guidelines and then you add a little supplementation like creatine,
you'll see even more benefit on it.
Oh, 100%. You'll see it work. That's the problem. You will see it work.
People are like, these things don't work. They do. Ultimately, creatine, as you said, is the most researched thing out there, pretty much alongside caffeine. And you've got thousands of studies for over like last 30 years.
Yeah.
And they work, but people are like, creatine, but because you probably don't sleep, probably don't eat, probably don't like hydrate or train properly. And it's just like, well, no shit. It's not really going to help you if you're just trying to chuck something else on top. So I think ultimately the bottom line is get everything in order, then add these things, you'll see more benefit, and you won't just be throwing money away at a supplement that's not doing anything.
But then you can also, touching on that, you can get creatine through food.
Well, there you go. Yeah, if you have a good diet,
it is a natural supplement. So we do produce it, and it is through, I know, mainly red meat. Like
red meat, good like quality red meat, and then kind of like your oily fishes,
salmon,
salmon, herring. It's quite rare in this country, I think. Maybe, I don't know, but kind of red meat. And then like go back to what we've spoken about nutrition, is like good quality red meat will create more creatine within the muscle, and then so ultimately quality comes back to playing that big factor. But you're getting it from good sources of like meat
Yeah,
and fish.
So if you are vegan, I don't think there are any plant-based. I couldn't really find much if there was any plant-based that you can get it from. That is a point where you will need to supplement it. And the good thing about creatine monohydrate, whether you choose to do it in a way I like, with a drink with some other ingredients in it, or if you just want it plain on its own, I don't like to use the word cheap because it can make it sound rubbish, but it's a very affordable product and fantastic. Like, it's not through the roof. It's basic. It's good, and you can get it for very, very reasonable money. You know, I'm probably about between 10 and 15 quid. You probably get 500 grams of it from somewhere, from some companies who do deal with it. But otherwise, if you're looking for food, it's a lot of red meat.
I think,
good quality steak, good quality mince. You can get some of it in there, but I'd always say
ultimately it's created in the muscles and the protein. So with the like vegan, vegetarian options, you're looking like milk, cheese, seeds, beans, but you're not going to have nearly the amount. So for 100 grams of food, for example, in like beef, you're looking at a gram of creatine.
That's pretty good.
It's quite high compared to you go down list and like milk is like 0.02 grams per 100. So you have to drink a hell of a lot of fucking milk.
And then we got to look at as well, when we've gone through our eating habits, like how well are you digesting your food? Is your gut healthy? Are you chewing your food? Are you breaking that food down enough so you can absorb things like that? So getting the creatine out of the meat is a point where that food needs to break down nice and well in the body to absorb those nutrients like that. So if you are trying to cram loads of red meat in your fast eater, more than likely you're not going to get most of that creatine out of it. You'll get some of it, but not as much as you could be.
Bioavailability, I think.
Bioavailability, that's it. So if we come down to
just like 5-6 reasons.
Main reasons to take it before we move on to vitamin D.
It's just safe. Ultimately, I think first thing, it's safe because it's got so much scientific support, so much research, so much backing from it. It is, as we said, and like we've highlighted 2-3 times.
It has a great safety record.
Yeah, it's. We said ultimately, you're either going to put on weight or you might create a little bit more demand on your kidneys. But I think that's quite loosely correlated and very far and few between. I know some doctors who have told people to stop taking it, but then it comes to a point where how much research is there, and then your kind of supplements aren't really seen in the medical world massively unless you're a supplement researcher or you're.
Well, if they're not making any money out of it, basically, they're not going to use it. Let's just get it right. If it's not on the doctor's list to make money, then they're not going to tell you it's good for you.
But it's easy to find, it's cheap, and it'll just improve your performance and well-being overall. And it'll help with strength goals, hypertrophy goals. It'll help with aerobic endurance.
So improve all your exercise performance.
Basically.
Great product.
So
easiest to find. You can pretty much find it on Amazon. You can find it anywhere.
Yeah.
You can there's loads of companies that sell it.
I think what we'll do, we'll add some of our favourite creatines if you want to try out. Definitely.
Yeah, I'll put on our Instagram on the one I'm using at the moment, so you can see more about it. It's like I say, I've been taking it for nearly 2 months now, and it's a ritual for me now. It's a nice tasting drink. It tastes nice. It's working. I definitely noticed better energy levels, and it's just really, really good.
Yeah. So creatine.
Creatine, there we go. Leave that at that. I hope that's enough for you guys to soak in and be like, right, sold. All these companies, we've just sold you creatine. So let us know that Ben and Tris just done that for you. Okay. Maybe not on the level as Matt Fraser done with beta alanine, but I'm hoping we can help you out there.
Yeah, we don't have a discount code to anything, no.
So then we can move on to health side, vitamin D.
Yeah. So more of a creatine is predominantly for your training
performance, and vitamin D is for your well-being.
Right. And I think now is a great point because I'm probably missing a big portion of it now. But like creatine you can get from natural sources, vitamin D, everyone knows.
And where we've just come off of the red meat with creatine, we can also say vitamin D is high in that as well.
Yeah.
So if you want your creatine and your vitamin D, red meat and again the salmon, the fish is good.
Yeah.
And then if you're touching on vegan, I think mushrooms is the main one for vitamin D.
Yeah.
And if you look at them, why? Because they're exposed to the sun.
Yeah. And that's it. Everyone knows you get vitamin D from the sun.
We get vitamin D from the sun. You don't actually get it. It doesn't beam down in invisible pathways. What I realise, it makes you produce it inside the body.
Yeah.
So the sunlight reflects onto your skin and it makes the vitamin D build inside of you already. It doesn't just pass it down like, here you go.
Yeah. It just synthesizes within your body. But that goes back to a point where we'll talk about more how to get in, but where you should get kind of 15, 20 minutes of sun on the skin without any blockers, without any like sun creams or anything.
Sunscreen will block it.
What they're doing is it's like putting on the clothes. It's adding a layer where you're not going to create that absorption into the body for them to create that synthesis into vitamin D. So ultimately, like, you be careful for sure, but you need a bit of time with it just naturally in the skin. The sun's there.
Yep.
We're here. It's like, why block it? It's there for a reason.
And one thing I didn't realise, it's called vitamin D, but it's actually not a vitamin. It's a pro-hormone. So that's another thing I've found out, even though it is called vitamin D.
Yeah.
So
that's where it goes back down to the body creating it.
Creating it inside, yeah.
It creates the hormone.
So obviously we want to try and find vitamin D as naturally as possible through your food and the sun, but then obviously we can supplement it. So there are times where if you go back to man where he couldn't go fishing because it was too fucking cold, and then it was pretty much dark pretty early, they were fucked for vitamin D basically.
Yeah, but there's huge health implications in a psychological and physiological state.
Yeah, and we are, and for me, out of all the vitamins there, D is the number one priority out of all of them. I'm not really big into like multivitamins and stuff like this. I know they can help. Try and find that mainly through my diet throughout the day, but vitamin D is definitely one sometimes I don't feel I get enough of. Especially I do eat a bit of chicken if I haven't got a high red meat diet, and
especially in winter, like this is
winter when it gets darker.
Well, this is something that's very
or when the sun's
seasonal,
when it's just not even out, so you can and you work a lot and you're not out in the sun at all. If you've got a long job and you're stuck in an office all day, and by the time you come out the sun's gone. Again, it's definitely a supplementation to start taking.
I know. I definitely supplement it only winter time, and then just try and luckily get an opportunity to get outside.
Yeah.
And that's why this is something else that's highly researched, and you kind of see it in a very like social studies year after year. Scandinavian countries that have large portions of their year in pretty much darkness, like you've got 20 to 22 hours of like darkness in the northern parts of Scandinavia, Sweden, Norway, Iceland, and what happens, and especially in a psychological impact. Like they're known for, there's studies that have shown every year there's known for higher levels of depression, like unfortunately higher suicide rates, just because vitamin D has such a huge implication into supporting like brain, nervous system, but then also mood.
Yeah. Like,
well, you see it in the UK. As soon as the sun started to come out, everyone just comes in with a little bit more of a pizzazz about them, a bit more excitement. Whereas when it's winter, everyone's like trudges in, like, fuck, it's another day, isn't it?
And that's it. And that's where it starts. So, the sunlight exposure makes the vitamin D work from cholesterol. So the ultraviolet rays hit the cholesterol in the skin. So it's providing energy for the vitamin D synthesis to occur. That's how it all starts. So it has many roles in the body and is essential for optimal health. Yeah. So if you go through some of the lists that I've found, and there's always finds I find new when you start researching, and I always recommend, even if you just listen to us on here, and we're trying to give you a quick breakdown, even though we do take our time, It's research. Always research. And when you hear something, you go, "That's good." Always make sure you double check and research. Don't just go flying out the bag for it, okay? Unless you really know me and trust me that well. But always double check it. Yeah, check it out. So we know with vitamin D, it's very good for promoting healthy bones and teeth.
Yeah, and we talk about health, but this can go back to like training as well, because you got healthier bones, you got stronger, more durable. You can stave off osteoporosis, brittle bones. Then you're gonna add that in with strength training, and you're gonna get to 90, and you're gonna be like, you're not gonna fall over and snap your leg.
Yeah,
you're gonna be fucking fit.
You're gonna be strong.
And then also we know, I think it's the teeth are the only thing in the body that don't repair naturally.
Yeah.
Hence the reason you have to go to a dentist and they drill the shit out of you.
You drill the shit out of them, and even when you die, they're still there.
There you go. Yeah.
So we've got support immune, brain, and nervous systems. So again, just like, you know, with the creatine helping out those, the spine, the nervous system it needs a health. It needs protecting as well, and vitamin D is another great way of doing that.
I'm going to say with the brain that goes physiological, so that hormone, because it is a hormone as you touched on, hormone balances, but also the psychological, where it affects mood. It helps with UV. I think there's UV light therapy for people with like depression. So so it's not just the complete health sides. There's the psychological health sides as well.
Yeah. We've got regulating insulin levels and supporting diabetes management. Very important. Insulin levels can be a touchy point, especially if you're a little sugar monster.
Yeah.
And you're spiking those insulins all day, and and that's how
up, down, up.
People become diabetic, or it's definitely another way of helping manage that with your nutrition, obviously on point. First of all, supporting lung function and cardiovascular health. Now this is an interesting one. Because as we know, we've just come through a couple of years of tough situation. I'm not going to say the name because I don't want those pop-ups coming up of don't listen to this information. So you understand what we've just been going through. And there are now study reports that vitamin D was a great aid at getting a lot of people out of recovery. Or if they were already taking a good amount, was preventing it. More. And that is out there. Vitamin D helps with the common cold, the flu, and the other big thing that's happened, which I'm not going to say because then it'll just go. And all these pop-ups come up and it's just a load of nonsense. So
it helps to aid in It helps to aid in oxygen absorption into the blood as well. So then then you're getting more nutrients around the body through the blood, the cardiovascular system. So that's hugely in cardiovascular health.
Yeah.
You have that, and that goes back to the recovery as well. You've got better lung function. You can do more, predominantly health as well. But it definitely you have these things, and they'll improve performance, they'll improve fitness, and they'll improve longevity. But as you said, it's a huge help for lung function. And that's why everyone, every year you come around and you see summer comes round and colds kind of generally, like flu across the UK generally drops off. And then when it comes around winter...
What, when the sun's out?
Yeah. And that's, in proportion, we're not putting it solely down to vitamin D, but in a large proportion...
It can help.
Down to vitamin D.
It can help. It can aid. It can make you better. It can make you more healthy.
And then, last bit on that.
And then influencing the expression of genes involved in cancer development. Now this is something, again, this is a very studied product and there's a lot of research out there. I'm not going to diverse too much into this because when we say it's prevents cancer development, that's something, it's a touchy subject. I'm not going to say, this will stop it, but it's definitely an aid. There's a lot of evidence out there to say that it helps. Obviously, going down with good nutritional value of food. It's something very interesting. And again, research it. Get on there, have a look.
And that goes back to the support of brain, nervous system, immune system, because cancerous cells are constantly having to be managed and killed throughout the body with the immune system. You put too much demand on it. So, but then the same side in enough sunlight can potentially create more damage. And but that's where he said, like, if to get good enough sunlight, like, limit it 15-20 minutes, depending on skin type as well.
Yeah,
because there's definitely a different level of absorption of the UV rays into the skin depending on race.
Absolutely, and that's it. Obviously, darker skins, they need more vitamin D.
More time in the sunlight, and they don't absorb it as well. So reflect a lot more of it. So there's some huge health implications of vitamin D. But then we've spoken solely on how to get it in a natural sense. But then if you can't, as you were saying,
food,
supplementation,
fatty fish,
ultimately first food.
Fish is a great one for vitamin D. The mackerel, tuna.
And we're talking like quality. You get the farm stuff that's not as good quality. It's not kept in a good environment. Like, we always prioritize quality over
food.
Quantity, and that goes back to the biodiversity. Is how much nutrients are ultimately in there, but then from there how much you can absorb from it. And if you've got good quality food, and you can taste the difference. It's that, but the same with the human. It's that stress.
Even like egg yolks is probably the most common thing you'll see. If you go to a farm compared to your big general supermarket and look at the different colour of the yolk, you will see there how much denser and richer and better your eggs are, because those chickens have been out.
There you go.
In sunlight, eating, better food, and you see that come out. Less stress, not compounding a factory
next to each other like this. Shitting on each other.
Yeah, exactly. So it makes a big difference.
We understand. The quality food is
very important.
It's important. It's a higher price, but something. If you want to get quality in from eggs, it's cheap. Shit, I think my butcher does like 6 eggs for £1.50, and they're like beautiful.
Yeah.
There you go. Shout out to
Hedges Farm.
So good.
Then I'm going to just quickly flip into a point. You will now hear another supplement called K2.
K2, isn't that the railway?
K2 railway.
Isn't that? I think that's right. But anyway,
So this is where we look at vitamin D, and I think when we look at the dosages, again, when it's too high, it can become risky, and it can play around with your calcium levels. So where we bring in like a regulator for that is vitamin K2. So it works together with vitamin D3 to support healthy bones. In simple terms, vitamin K2 helps to make sure that the calcium is deposited where it needs to be in the bones and not elsewhere, such as the arteries. So whenever I get my vitamin D, I always look for, I only get it from one place now, a company called Supplement Needs. Again, a very, very high standard company who really do put out the best product they can. It's their own brand. They're actually a store, so you can buy other brands from there. But Supplement Needs vitamin D3 K2. It's all in one. So all you've got to do is just take that tablet, and then you don't have to worry about that. It's a very well-dosed supplement with the vitamin D3 and the K2 for most people. So you can go, I think it's around 5,000 IU of the vitamin D with the K2, and I normally take one of them a day. Again, when we look at dosages of this, you can look at different athletes can probably substantially take a little bit more. That is something for you to research more. Don't go by just what I'm saying and go take that. But definitely, if you want to get vitamin D, get it from Supplement Needs. You're getting a good quality product. They really do put time and effort into products, rather than, I know Holland & Barrett is out there, but I look at Holland & Barrett like Sainsbury's and Tesco's. It's just a mass-produced, rush, quick, get it out there, and the quality and probably the dosaging probably might not be too accurate.
That's a big point. Is like, I think the kind of national recommendations are like 4,000 IU, right?
Yeah. 4,000. 4,000 to 5,000.
Yeah,
can be even more.
I think if you look at a lot of these kind of generic like packets that you buy from places, you got to go back to the quality. What is its quality? How is it stored? But then also, you've got to look at, actually it says one serving size is enough. But you look at the back and one serving size is
It's
1,000 IU.
Yeah.
So you've got to take 4 of a daily serving.
So now you're going to go through that pot pretty quick, where with the supplement needs it is one pill.
And that's, yeah.
And I think it is important to get that K2 in there, because it does ensure that the calcium is absorbed a lot easier and reaches bone mass, while preventing arterial calcification. Calcification. That's it.
Just like harden your arteries, don't make, because arteries they move, they like stretch, they expand,
and it just helps regulate the normal blood clotting. So it's, again, you want to look into this, research it. That's what I do. Sit down with Ben, we research a lot of things so we can give you the best information. Most of it is trial and error myself. I would never promote something I haven't gone through myself.
Yeah.
That's one thing important. I would never recommend a supplement that I don't take. I
haven't used
truth and honesty and loyalty is important roles in my, and supplement needs. And there's another company about the creatine previously, the HR Labs. I trust them; they're good quality, and you can look them up. So
yeah. So I think to go into dosing, as you said, like 4,000 IUs like daily. And the same thing. It's like whenever I know people take it in the morning with like a multivitamin or whatever, but making sure you're prioritizing a good quality, and then as well, get out in the sun, 15-20 minutes. I think even if you work in a position where you're inside all day, like now, sun's up at 5 o'clock in the morning and kind of doesn't go down to 8.
Yeah.
Do it after breakfast. Walk out for 10 minutes without anything on, without anything on. Just go out naked,
lunch
get
break.
rested.
Eat your food outside.
There you go.
Find a park. Do something. Try and find that light. Try and get it in.
Yeah. And just get some decent sun exposure over a large portion of your skin.
And that's it. And then even when it is in the summer and you feel like, right, I've been supplementing, but do I stop supplementing vitamin D and get in the sunlight? I would say it's definitely a point where if you are now highly active in the sun, maybe you could call off the. I would probably look at and saying, you could stop the vitamin D supplement, and because you're getting it more naturally. One way I've loaded that, again, with something, when you get too much of it, there will be telltale signs from taking too much. Like toxicity. I know with vitamin D you can get headaches, nausea, and obviously too much vitamin D can lead to the calcium. That's why the K2 is good to take in, and that's why it is a point, like you say, if you are getting a lot of sunlight and then you probably don't need the supplement vitamin D.
But the upper limit is from what my understanding is quite high.
Very high. It's up to 10,000 IUs a day for some athletes.
So there you go. So if you took your...
And there is a way...
10 times your Holland and Barrett pills.
And there is a way, I think a lot of it works with body weight ratio. So there is a way you can find to work out your actual dosage. Like I say, we're not doctors. We're not going to prescribe you the dosage. It's something that you should... If you're putting it in your body, it's something that you should be researching up on yourself. Don't just take the granted for it. So that, it's something that I do. I know naturally for myself, I look to take around 5,000 to 6,000 IUs a day for me. With my body weight, it's a safe dose for me. I've had no complications with that.
Just get into a bit of pallium something.
Yeah.
No, but like everything, there's always implications, as you said, like the headaches. You can get potential headache, and this is where you can tell if you've got excess levels of vitamin D, and you need to balance it with the K2. Spend less time in the sun, or stop taking a supplement. But obviously, ultimately, if you ever get any of these, go see a doctor. We're not doctors. That's the thing. We're just here that people love what we do, research it, and experiment on ourselves.
Experiment on ourselves, and then tell you.
Yeah.
Like I say, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't ever be throwing something on here that I've not tried and tested myself and used for a length of time, not 2 days. So
that's not a study.
Yeah.
But I think just so. Before we round it out, just round up creatine, vitamin D, best ways to get it, what you'd recommend yourself, and then the same with vitamin D. So
very tested. Both products have been highly tested. They're both safe. They're both great. Super benefits. In my case, they're 2 super products that you should be using.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you love these episodes, please push a like, leave a comment, and if there's anything you want us to talk over with the supplement range, please let us know. Email it, message it on Instagram, wherever you can reach out to us, and we will go over it. If it's something that I haven't done, hey, I don't mind testing out some things.
Yeah.
If it's going to aid to my performance.
CBD oils next.
Woo!
That's a rabbit hole we'll go down one day.
Yeah, I think we're going to cover that.
We'll stick to the well-researched.
I'm going to go through the ones that I've gone through mainly first, and things that I think you can reap benefits from straight away. And then we will touch those ones where I think it's just about sucking the money out of your pocket and giving you not much reward.
If you want to send us a CBD and we'll try.
So any CBD companies want to prove us wrong and say that no, it really does work, please send me some products. I will try it out and I will give you my honest opinion. For my honest opinion at the moment, I think it's a load of bollocks. So if I don't need CBD to go to sleep. If you put your sleep habits in, you'll go to sleep. If you're fucking sitting up watching Netflix till 12 at night and trying to think like a couple of drops of CBD are going to knock you out, I beg to differ. But anyway, we're going to leave that there. Thanks for tuning in on this one, guys. Make sure you catch us up on the next episodes, and we'll see you then.
Bye-bye.